Do I have to keep my seatbelt fastened even if the seatbelt sign is off? The answer is, ought to. I can't always predict bumpy air. And the most dangerous part of the airplane when you're seated in your seat is directly above you. The overhead above you is only a couple of feet, maybe 18 inches above your head. If I hit some unexpected turbulence, depending on how hard they are, you can come flying out of that seat and hit that overhead. So do me a favor, even when that seatbelt sign is off, keep that seatbelt fastened about you. We always keep our seatbelts fastened up here in the flight deck. It's the safest thing to do, and I'm concerned for your safety. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. How cold is it at 37,000 feet? And how do you keep the fuel in the airplane from freezing? Great questions. It's actually about minus 50 degrees Fahrenheit, give or take a few degrees at 37,000 feet where most commercial jet liners fly. But how do you keep the fuel from freezing? Well, the freezing point of fuel is a lot lower than water, for instance, but it still could come to a point where it would freeze. There's an ingenious system in the airplane that works two things at the same time. It's called the oil to fuel heat exchanger. The oil in the airplane gets really hot. The fuel gets really cold. So there are coils that go through the fuel tanks that carry that hot oil through the fuel tanks without mixing with the fuel to warm up the fuel, and it also cools down the oil as it goes back to the engine. Now you know. I'm Captain Steve. Fly safe. Feeling bloated, full of gas, kind of full of air on the inside? Think you're losing your mind? You're not. It's actually happening. You're like this overstuffed bag of chips. When you climb up to altitude, the partial pressure decreases and the air inside of you expands, and you're thinking to yourself, am I the only one that's experiencing this? Everybody on that airplane is experiencing that. And it's not because of the bean and cheese burrito that you ate earlier. Well, it might be in part. That didn't help. But it's because you're up at altitude and all of the gassy areas inside of you are expanding. So is it okay to let it rip, Tater Chip? Well, be discreet, because all your partners on that airplane are doing the exact same thing. You heard it first from me, Captain Steve. Fly safe.